Okay, welcome back, you guys, to the Low Bottom High Rise podcast with me, your host, Moira Casaba. And I've got a special treat for you today. My friend Adam Jablin is in the house. Adam, thank you so much for being here.
Moira, thanks for having me on. I cannot wait to dive in together.
I know. We have so much in common. Like when somebody connected us, right? I went straight to your Instagram. I saw addiction, mental health, neuro coach. Like I'm literally like goosebumps head to toe. I'm like, this is everything I'm obsessed with. Who is this guy? I've had the amazing opportunity to connect with your wife, right? You guys are
Yes,
married, right?
yes.
Okay. I was like, wait, did I just say that
Yeah,
wrong?
yeah, yeah.
She literally is an angel.
Yeah.
Adore her. And, we instantly have this connection because we share a history of addiction. And I am so excited to dig into your story, to dig into the work that you're doing in the world and just all of it. So can we start there? Can we
I would love
start
that. And
with
also, can we just flip it real fast? So when we got
yeah.
introduced, I love when things like this line up. I really do.
Yeah.
When we got introduced, I went on your Instagram, and I can't explain algorithms or anything like that.
Yeah.
But the first thing that popped up was your 23-year medallion and what you
Yeah.
wrote underneath it. And I was like, I found a sister.
Yeah.
I found a
Yeah.
sister. And I dove into more in your page, and I was like, oh my God. So the feeling was
Mm.
mutual and aligned.
Oh, thank you for that. I love that so much. And there really is. I think people that haven't weathered addiction and sobriety probably could never fathom or begin to understand the connection. It's so weird to me when like I connect with somebody in my DMs and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you're a recovering addict too." And then I'm like, "That sounds really bad, but that's awesome, but that sounds bad." Like, but the only way I can explain to people outside of that kind of sector is if you were to walk a road of like, meeting on death's door, fighting, say, cancer or something like that, and trudging that road, as we say in recovery, trudging that road together and finding your way back to freedom together, linked arm in arm with the same brain, with the same emotions, with the same thoughts, with the same cage that you're living in. There's no greater bond in life, really,
I
you know?
couldn't I couldn't agree more. We trudged through that hell together to
Yeah.
this freedom. Um
Mhm.
and also I feel like one of the things that we do for one another is we remind one another. You can get so busy and so and for good reasons, happy, joyous, free, but you can get so
Yeah.
busy in our lives that we're this reminder for one another of what it used to be like, what happened, so to speak, and what we're
Yeah.
right? Like we
Yes.
just talking to one another, just being around one another. So
Yes.
we could definitely dive in there.
I love it. I love it so much. Well, let's start here because I
So,
used to always do an intro into my podcast and be like, my guest today and kind of give all the background and everything.
right.
But I want you to define you. If you were to have, if you're walking out on the stage and you're giving a speech or whatever, two parts here. What are the accolades and the title, right? How would you kind of title who you are in the world today? But then also, who are you really behind the curtain?
I got it totally. So I am a coach. I call myself the hero coach, right? And I
Mhm.
ignite the hero within.
Mhm.
I help ignite the hero within because we're all going through that hero's journey. The
Mhm.
hero's journey, three major parts: the separation from the pain, from the alcohol, from the drug, from the old life, from whatever, right? To the initiation process, what that looks like, if that's step work, if that's learning the force, if that's a new exercise routine, if that's becoming Neo in the Matrix, to the
Yes.
so that's why I take every client through their hero's journey, which I love. But who am I really? I'm a man that really, really cares and loves to connect. More between you and I did not want to be a coach. I did not want to be Phil Jackson. I wanted to be Michael Jordan. I did not want to be on the sidelines helping people. I want to be the star. So it's an interesting world where everybody's now, what I am naturally, right? This caring, this compassion. When I was growing up in the 80s, that I used to think I was soft. I used to think that was
Mm,
feminine.
Yeah.
You know, I remember like hitting a kid in football, wrapping him up the right way, and my coach screaming at me, like, Jablin, lay him out. And I would help the kid up, leave him on the ground. I felt very feminine all the time because I care about people. So that's who I really am. I'm a man that cares, that knows how to connect. And that's how I do all the coaching because I'm really here with my client.
Yeah. I love that so much. And you are the furthest thing from feminine that I would ever think. I mean, you're like a guy's guy, you're jacked, you're like, fit, all the things. But I
Thank,
love that you
thank you.
can, but I love that you can tap into that and fully embrace that because I think the world needs so much more of that. So your coaching, let me just dig in because I'm always just super
Sure.
curious from an entrepreneurial
Come on, I'm
standpoint.
an open book,
Yeah.
please.
So what are you're doing a lot of one-on-ones, you're doing group coaching. What does this look like? Is it your own curriculum? Is it like a 12-week thing? Is it just, sign up with me one-on-one, like a therapist kind of thing? What does that look like?
Yeah, so let me give you the full umbrella, right?
Yeah.
So there are people that will sign up for me, let's say from really elite treatment centers, celebrities, athletes, NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball. And a lot of those are one-on-one. And we'll start with 3 months, right?
Yep.
One of the things I'm very adamant about is I am not trying to build soldiers. My job is to free the person. I want them
Mm,
now, if they want to continue, fantastic, because maybe we found some other things they'd like to work on. But we do it. We start with a 3 month to 6 month curriculum, and
yep.
those are my elite one-on-ones. I do groups, which I love as well, right? And what I love about group coaching is really when you get to mix it up. It's a
Yeah.
melting pot, right? It turns into from a coaching to a little bit of a mastermind and kind of like
Right.
a team, and kind of like a team. And then I do coaching where it'll be, let's say I'm going to a school or I'm going to a prison or I'm, whatever it is. So there is an umbrella of this word coaching, but it does all go through one true curriculum.
Mm,
And that is the way I developed that
yep.
was through let's start with what you and I do, was through my 17 years of recovery.
Yep.
Then you mix in what happened with me in business, where I was, forced into, if you want to say it that way, also blessed into, but also had to become and mold myself into a captain of industry and learn hardcore business the right way. Then I also had to really dive into personal development, because if
Yeah.
I want to be a coach, I had to understand from the best of the best. So diving into people like Tony
Yeah.
and taking all these and also I'm very blessed where I got to know Coach Phil Jackson and these
Mhm.
people that really taught me their way of doing things in the sports world, and I got to see these common themes and I put them with my identity and my way of teaching and my personality, and whoever vibes with me, it works perfectly. And if
Yep.
I'm not the person, I am so happy to introduce them to the right person because I
Yeah.
really want people to thrive.
Right.
That's truly where I'm at. I want people
Yeah.
to find what they're looking for.
Mm,
You know what I mean? I am not the treasure. If I'm the treasure map for you, fantastic. But I want you to find your treasure.
right.
So if I'm not the treasure map, let's
Yeah.
find the right treasure map.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth? Because what you're doing is almost identical to what I'm doing, right? My own curriculum, my own path, my own kind of, this is like my recipe. What I bring people through. I'm like, this is the recipe. This is like the just everything to me, right? And it's probably actually very similar to what you're teaching.
I bet you if we lined it up, we'd be like, look what we both found.
Right, right, right. But I agree. It's like somebody that doesn't vibe with me, somebody that doesn't have their trust and faith in me as their leader, as their coach, as their mentor, whatever you want to call it, isn't going to necessarily unlock all the things that the same person on the that another person on the same path is going to unlock, right? And so you've got to really and people say that all the time. I always say, listen, I don't care if I'm your coach. Just get a coach, get a mentor, get a guide, join a mastermind. Like you have to be connected to, you have to be investing your time and your money in some type of growth at all times, I believe, right?
I
Especially
agree.
as a coach. As
I
a coach.
agree. And can
Yeah.
I tell you something? And like I'm gonna get naked. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Hate that. I hate how true it is.
I
You know
know.
what I mean? But you have to constantly grow. the second I have felt okay, or I felt like I got this, right? I
Right.
got this. For some reason, you could see it in every area of my life, just
Mm.
that little bit of stagnation. You have to constantly be leaning in. Maybe not climbing the Himalaya mountains, but
Right.
you need to be constantly doing something to
Yeah.
evolve, you know?
Right. Well, and I also think there's like, for me, there's this a little bit of an ebb and flow into like, I'm investing in kind of a mentor or a business coach where we're scaling, where we're building, where it's like so much energy into like the business side. And then every once in a while, I'm like, whew, okay, I need to breathe and maybe like pivot just a little bit and really put that type of energy into my personal, into my spiritual growth, which is happening every day, all day, but on a very, consistent, smaller basis. But then there comes these seasons where I'm like, I need to go all in on the personal side and then let the business kind of come down to this, like, just constant, everyday, smaller piece of it. But I was talking to my mastermind group actually, and they are well aware because they know my business coach who costs $100,000 a year. They were like, "So are you going to do that again?" And I was like, they were like, "Was it worth it?" And I was like, am I going to do that again? And I was like, I'm always going to do that. Like it wasn't a one and done. I wish it was a one and done, right?
Right,
I wish I
right,
could just stroke that check or wire that money one time and accomplish all my dreams and then be done. But it
right.
doesn't work that way.
Isn't that funny? And
Yeah.
I think maybe you and I also learned that in our recovery, right?
Yes, we don't stop going to meetings.
You
It's not
never
like we
stop.
got sober 17, 20 some years ago and we were like checked the box and moved on. It's a constant everyday investment into our sobriety if we still want it.
Constantly. And I think once it sounds like we're really like just together holding hands. And I feel like once you and I realize what even maybe what money really is,
Yeah.
like what money really like look, when I was growing up, like let's just I'm 40, I'm gonna be 48 years old. When I was growing up, if you were the guy that pulled out the credit card, you have no idea how annoying that was. They took a big thing out, credit card, a big white piece of paper, chink, chink. Now they
Yes.
take a pen and write it, right? Like everything was like everything has changed so much that you really can see money as an energy exchange.
Man,
I mean, like
absolutely.
if you need $1,000, by the time I have the next 10 words out of my mouth, I could Venmo it to you. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like there was no
Yeah.
such crypto and this and that. Like so things have changed dramatically.
Mhm.
And what you and I think have found is that energy we're putting into our own growth,
Yes.
our own expansion. It does
Absolutely.
come back. It says it in the Bible, it says it in our
Mhm.
literature, it comes back.
It comes back. And if you think about money as energy, think about the investment of, buying crap food versus, going to Whole Foods. It's like I'm investing my energy, my money into my health or
Yeah.
not into my health. My son last night was at a small group and his small group leader like took them all out to watch the game and everything. And I texted him last night at 10 o'clock and I was like, hey, I need to shoot you a Venmo. And he's like, no, 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 no. Like, I want to do this for the boys, like my treat. And my husband's like, we don't owe him. And I was like, I want to invest my energy in one of the biggest priorities for my son. Right. So I don't care if I have to pay the guy or not. I want to give him the money. I want to give him that energy. And it's no different in business, right? It's like if we invest and we just got to change the word because we all know if we invest our energy in our business growth and if we invest our energy in our personal growth, it comes back. But
Every
then
time.
we have a wall when it comes to like the ticket $600. And people are like, "Whoa, I don't know about that."
It's crazy, right? It's crazy. And so but I love also where you started this. There are also seasons. When
Yeah.
I was a kid, I like fell in love. I fell in love with bodybuilding. I was the fat
Mm,
kid. And it was different back then, but like there were these guys, Lee Labrada and Lee Haney and Sean Ray and Flex Wheeler and Dorian Yates and this thing and Arnold Schwarzenegger, but they had an off season, but the off season, it wasn't like they stopped training,
right.
right? They weren't constantly dieting that, right? And it was
Right.
to build the muscle. Then there was the preseason, like it was right before you were going to get ready for a
Mhm.
show, like and you just started adding a few more workouts, you started dropping your calories a little bit, and then it was the 12 or 16 weeks before a show.
Right.
what I've realized is they had it right. Like,
Yes.
if we had 3 or 4 seasons where you can keep that intensity, but you change the focus a little bit,
Yes.
right? Like you
Yes.
said before, my spiritual wellness, my business wellness, maybe my mind. I really think that's the way to do it. And that way those other areas get a little bit of rest and recovery.
Right, right. Well, and I think unfortunately the majority of people are, you just talked about kind of the preseason, the,
Yeah.
in the season, their off season is still maintenance, right? It's not even off season. I think most people unfortunately are in their off season, which means zero, like nothing's happening, And then their in season is equivalent to somebody else's off season, right? That's actually maintaining. And so we gotta look at consistency. We gotta look at kind of a maintenance program of our spiritual health, our financial health, our business health, our personal growth, all of those things. But then yes, those seasons where we kind of put the pedal to the metal and go all in. Tell me the story, if you would, Adam. Like, what is the story here? You got sober 17 years ago,
Yeah.
right? So
Yes.
what's the story? It's so funny because
Sure.
I obviously want to hear, like, so what happened? Obviously you got sober. And then I always want to hear, like, what was the growth journey for these last 17 years? Whenever I'm on a podcast, which is very often interviewed by somebody not in recovery, they just want to know, like, how I got sober. I'm like,
Really?
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
always
yeah,
like, by the grace of God, like,
yeah.
I'm like,
No, I have a meeting at 12 o'clock that's open. If you'd like to come, I'm speaking, sharing my story. No, I get it. I get it. So you know what? I know exactly what you're asking me. I
yeah,
know exactly what you're asking me. So 17 years ago, I'm in a treatment center and I'm a different Adam. And I went in, by the way, thinking that if I'm the most dedicated, disciplined, determined rehab patient they've ever seen, they'll be like, there's nothing wrong with this guy. This
yeah,
guy's, it must be the business. It must be his spouse. It must be the kid. It must be right. Like whatever. And Moira, everything I learned backfired on me.
right,
Every, right. That alcoholism is a disease, that there's 4 components to make it a disease. It's progressive, it's chronic, it's always there, it's primary, it's not secondary, and it's fatal. Right?
yeah,
You put those 4 qualifications together, you're a disease. You take one away, you're a disorder, and disorders are bad enough.
right,
But right, but so we, if you don't mind me saying,
yeah,
right, we have a
absolutely,
disease, right,
yeah,
that is fatal. And little things were making so much sense to me. Like, first off, the first time I said it, I'm Adam and I'm an alcoholic and an addict, and I was just following what they were saying because I
right,
get kicked out. I need to get out of here as fast as possible.
yeah,
And this 100-pound gorilla just jumped off my shoulders, Moira. Right, it was the first time I said it. Right, and it was like the movie The Sixth Sense with Bruce
yeah,
Willis, and at the end, he realizes he's dead, and now the whole movie makes sense. When I said I'm an alcoholic and an addict, my whole life made sense. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
that's why I got a DUI. That's why I was a lunatic at Arizona State University. That's why I was the person with the first person with a fake driver's license. That's
yeah,
why I can outdo everybody. Like, I didn't understand what I was. I thought I was
right,
just a radical party maniac.
right,
I didn't understand these labels. And I had some profound spiritual experiences within this place that it, for me, it came in the shape of a panic attack, but it was a profound spiritual experience where, honestly, my heart rate was 180 something. It was through the roof, but
wow,
a part of me was dying and
yeah,
a part of me was being born.
mm,
And it got me in touch with this idea and this concept of God and a higher power and these holy religious teachings that I never really cared about in my life.
right,
And it got me in touch with a fellowship and
yeah,
steps and how to have a new blueprint of living.
mhm,
And what happened was, one day at a time, I fell in love with this thing, by the way.
yeah,
That's the main thing I should say. I fell in love with it and I couldn't get enough of it. And one day at a time, this thing I started embodying it, and it
yeah,
was coming out in every area of my life, in every relationship, even to the point that it was a little weird. Like, sometimes I would say, was, I was in a prior marriage, and I remember saying, I have a resentment towards you.
yeah,
I remember her being like, "Who talks like this? Are you angry? Say you're angry."
right,
A
right,
resentment towards me. Right? I was being trained. I was speaking a
yeah,
new language. I was discovering a new way to, I'll never forget when she first saw me praying, like 30 days ago, Patron drinking lunatic. Now
Right.
this guy's praying. He's praying. Like, okay, now I have this
I
lunatic.
can relate. I
You
can
know?
relate.
Well, 1 minute I have this guy, now I got this guy. Great, like so. I get it. I totally get it.
Oh my
But
gosh.
one of the things that happened with this spiritual part was I started seeing how it started bleeding into my family business. And I started becoming a leader in a way that I never really knew I was capable of. And those things that I shared with you in the beginning, this compassion, this sweetness, this wanting the best for others, these thing that used to make me feel very, very feminine. I mean, where I was the guy that like I like masculine thing. I like
Right.
to box, or not to hurt somebody, to box, to
Yeah.
try to win. But I would always show the guy after what I did. This is how you slip. This is where, and my coach would be like, "What's wrong with you?
Yeah. Gosh,
You
our
know what I mean? Like,
society
what is
just
wrong with you?" He would
our
yell at me.
society shuts it down so much for men and for boys. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
but
Yeah.
that thing started helping our this family business that I was running,
Yeah.
and I led like Knights of the Round Table.
Mm.
Not with fear, not with I'm the boss, and right. And it just took my whole leadership skills to a whole new level. Well, this thing never left me. And before you know it, I have a friend that's running a really, really um, high-end company that I'd rather not say. I could tell you off the air.
Sure. Sure.
And there was a lot of celebrities that work for it. He's like, I need you to speak to this client of mine. And I'm like, I don't do this professionally, man. I'm,
Right.
I'm like, I make bras and panties for Victoria's Secrets. And I'm like, I'm like a sober 12-step guy. He's like, no, man. He's like, you have something special.
Wait, what was your other job? What's your family business?
We
You just
were,
glossed over that for
I
a minute.
apologize.
Wait, go back.
We were the number one lace manufacturers in the world, not
Oh my
America.
gosh.
Yeah.
That's
So
hilarious and
two
awesome.
110,000 square foot plant, 600 machines, one plant, 2 12-hour shifts, the other plant, 3 8-hour shifts. I loved every single employee. You know what I mean? I had to start at the bottom as the janitor and then learn yarn inventory and then learn a quality control and then to be a mechanic and then be a knitter,
Wow.
go to design department. You know what I mean? It was like boot camp,
Wow.
It was business boot camp, but it did teach me principles of business,
Yeah. Yeah,
really.
for sure.
Yeah, I do kind of gloss over that a little bit. I do, but that's what I did. I
Yeah.
made lattes. My job was to make Victoria's Secret is the most recognizable name, but La
Right. Right.
Prada, Anki, Hanes brands. My job was to make my client happy, even if
Yeah.
I could not tell that there was a little flour difference. They used to
Right.
drive me nuts. If I had to change the yarn, and I had to make my client happy.
Yeah.
Um, which was a great education, because now
Yeah.
I can as much as my client did. But back in the day, I'd be like, just buy the lace, would you? Just stop breaking. But I learned how to this thing that you and I both were blessed into started just radiating out of me. And a friend of mine that's running this very high powerful agency has some celebrities that need some help. They've tried all these
Like
names:
addiction. Is that what you're talking about with addiction?
addiction,
Yeah.
alcoholism, abusing things,
Yeah.
dependencies, overeating,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like, so
All of the above. Right.
all of
Yeah.
the above. And I just remember looking at it like, dude, I don't do this professionally. Like, I'm honored to even be here. Like,
Yeah.
look at that guy. I have all his albums. Like, I was like still like a fanboy.
Yeah.
And he's like, I need you. And I just kept putting this block up. I'm not what you think I am. And he's like, no, you are exactly who I think you are.
Wow.
And he brought me in a room, and there's this big name there. And we were there for like 3 hours.
Wow.
And the gifts started coming out.
Yeah.
The gifts started coming out. Before I knew it, something had shifted in the universe, Moira. Like, something just shifted. And long story short, this empire that we were up against China, the Me Too movement, and all of these people that I really admired and respected, heads of major companies. You can look at their stock prices now, didn't
Yeah.
believe in Amazon.
Yeah.
They were like, women will always want to go to a store. They'll always
Right.
want to put a bra on. And I'm like, I don't think so, man. I'm like, my
Wow.
wife is ordering stuff online and sending it back. I'm telling you, you got to get on this online
Yeah.
thing. They didn't believe in it.
Wow.
Well, we just got blessed. We just got blessed that somebody made an offer
Mm.
that was too good to refuse.
You sold in
And
at
we
the right
sold
time.
that note right before COVID.
Wow.
Right before COVID. And I just remember
Wow.
going to my mentor, who is, we sometimes call sponsor, mentor, but
Yeah.
like, this guy is a rock and roll legend. I'd love to share with you more about him. Like,
Yeah.
just they're making a Broadway play about him. His name is Dion. He's known for the song The Wanderer and Run Around Sue. And he's everything to me. This guy just taught me everything. And I remember, what am I going to do? And he's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, he's like, you're going to be Adam finally.
Oh,
You're going to be Adam.
you're going to be free.
You're going to be free. You're going to do what you love. And it was like, more, I'm just this guy, I don't know if it's from my culture, the 80s or whatnot. Somebody that believed in me gave me a permission slip.
Yeah.
I've met a lot of men. I think your coach is one that just have it in them. They just they
Yeah.
have the balls and they take it.
Yep.
Right. I have to admit, I'm not.
Yeah.
I had to have somebody that was older, that wiser, that believed in me to say, it's your turn.
I'm going to argue that point. I think just because I want the audience to hear this, because we do have this perception of, especially really masculine men or really powerful, successful women, that they're like just out there taking it. People probably think that of me. No way, no how would I have ever accomplished much of anything had I not had multiple people breathing belief into me when
Mm,
I had absolutely none.
there you
So
go.
I think that 100% of the population needs that, or the people that have succeeded and gone out there and built extraordinary things have absolutely had that person or multiple people in their life that have been that for them.
No,
We all
thank you.
need it. Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing. Because sometimes I look at these men and I marvel at them.
Yeah.
I marvel at them. And I'll give you an example. I know you're a guy, but I wouldn't want. You could share him. I can't. But even,
Bedros? Are you talking
yeah,
my coach,
yeah,
Bedros? Yeah.
Pedro, like,
Yeah.
but I see Pedro's in that level, like Tony. Where
Yeah.
I remember hearing these Tony stories from Tony, where he's like, I had to create this guy. I had to become this guy. Well, I don't have that.
But
I had
I
somebody
think
breathing life into me. I had
but
somebody helping me.
right. But it's so interesting. This conversation is so interesting because I have literally said the exact same thing on many stages, that the Moira I was even 10 years ago doesn't remotely resemble who I am today, that I have created this. But when people say I have created this, no one means they've done it alone,
Yeah, yeah,
because anyone who's had success, they just know that it's taken a freaking village.
yeah,
It has taken a village. It has taken a spouse behind the scenes. It has taken a team of friends that are just breathing belief, that are picking you up when you're falling apart. No one has ever created that alone. And if they have, they're on the most egotistical, lonely journey of life. And that's not people that you and I,
no,
admire in the world.
not at all, not at all. But
Yeah.
I do like you sharing that with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it is it's a part of my truth. That moment with Dion was the moment that the Hero Project was born.
Yeah.
And when he said, "What are you talking about? You're going to be Adam." I needed
Wow.
someone to see me. I
Yeah.
needed
I
someone to see,
get it.
and it felt good.
Yeah. There's no better feeling than to be
No,
seen.
no,
Than to be seen. So let's speak to that moment, because I feel like in my audience, there's so many people out there that have ideas, that have desires. And even for me, it's a constant, it's always evolving, and I'm always doing, the next thing and the next project. How do you take kind of this mess of like, well, these are my talents, this is maybe what I'm good at, but how do I package that? Does it look like a podcast? Does it look like a brick and mortar? Does it look like a coaching practice? Like, how did you define your business model, really? Because
okay.
I think so many people are stuck with the idea and they have no idea what to do with the ideas,
I'm
right?
so happy you're asking this. I'm just gonna get naked. Is that okay?
Yes,
Let's go back. I'm
absolutely.
gonna go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
I Okay, here you go. I happen to be wearing it,
Yeah.
right? So let's see.
Love it.
I don't have my camera, so I don't want to see because I don't like looking at myself. But here we go. So, I'm taking the camera back off. So I'm a I'm a guy that people know. Like, I love Superman.
Yeah.
I've always loved Superman. The day I was born, I was in a Superman show. I don't know why this thing stuck, right? Truly, Superman's kryptonite, us, alcohol and drugs. But you want to torture him? You want to torture him? What you do is you put a bomb in Metropolis and you put Lois Lane over here and you say,
Yeah.
yeah, make a choice.
Mm.
I mean, like that's torture for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You made a
Yes.
commitment to be with Moira, but your daughter needs you right now. Adam, you're on. You know, like
Right.
you want to see my brain go nuts because
Yeah.
Superman can't be two places at once. That's my weakness. I could deal with the kryptonite all day. You and I have found a way out of that. You found a
Yeah.
That's my torture. And I love the idea that you save lives, that you help
Mm.
save, like, at the end of, you know what I mean? And you have a fortress of solitude, meditation, prayer, spirituality. You have a way to decompress. So I knew I could help people. I knew I had this thing. Now I'm starting to get all these people believe in me. And I literally, where I was going through a divorce. I'm proud to share that story now because I am somebody, like, especially back in my days in recovery. And you start passing on what we're being taught. And I remember with other men that were going through this, and I hear myself now, and sometimes I feel so sad being like, you can make it work if you lean in, if you do everything, if you go to marriage counseling.
Right.
And one thing I did not know that God had to humble me with is it takes two.
Right.
That I did
Absolutely.
not. I thought I could do all the work for both of us, and I couldn't.
Mhm.
And she didn't want to go on this journey,
Yeah.
and I can't tell her that that's wrong. She likes life the way she likes life, and that's okay.
Right.
Oh, so I couldn't do the work for both of us. I thought I could, but I couldn't. So my divorce was very humbling. But now the Hero Project. So
Yeah.
I sat there with a notebook and a pen. And I just, on the left side, I just started writing down things that mean everything to me.
Yeah.
Recovery, spirituality, steps, love, Superman, superheroes, da da da, hero,
Mm.
right?
Yes.
On the right side, I was like, well, I like, what helped me? Bodybuilding, transformation, program, part of a 12-step program. But I don't, if I work with people, they're not a program. I don't want to be chest and back on one day and arms and shoulders on the next day. But a project. People are projects, right? And then I went out for the first time because I told you I was part of a family business, and I understood what making an LLC was, and I got 3 credit cards. And now these 3 credit, it was a Platinum American Express, a bank, like a loan card, whatever you call it, a line of credit,
Yeah. Yeah.
and a Visa card. And to me, look, I had done what, but to me, that looked like gold. It's the
Yeah.
first time I had access to something that I could do whatever it wasn't about yarn. It wasn't about employees that I had. It wasn't about the air conditioning of keeping the yarns a certain, of keeping the building a certain temperature. It
Yeah.
wasn't about, entertain. This was about something new for me. These 3 credit cards looked like gold. They literally, and I was like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Right. So I just started taking little risks. I was like, well, it probably because there's nobody well known or famous in an anonymous program. That
Right.
where I go, where we go, we are a
Mhm.
fellowship, and we care for one another, and it's completely altruistic. It's completely, I have to give you what's freely given to me. I'm not very well known. I have to somehow build a reputation.
Right.
I have to build a curriculum. I have to get, and before I knew it, I guess I started gambling right. I started betting right. And
What were some of those first steps that you took? I'm
well, I
curious.
decided, yeah, no. Look,
And
just
I
for me,
think the biggest thing that people that I'm hearing already that some people are probably missing is you had 3 credit cards. You were investing, right?
yeah,
I think so many
100%.
people want to start a business or a company or have this big dream and they want what other people have, but it takes risk. It takes the gamble. It takes the investment. I mean, you can't go big without putting some skin in the game. A lot
No
of skin in
doubt.
the game. Yeah.
No doubt. And I think something that's probably very, I'm going to say sexy about us is this is something I'll give myself credit for, right? I told you how humble I told you I have this sweet side of me. I told you about Dion breathing in life in me. I said, like, I want people to know that I'm as human as anyone. But that I had no fear on.
Yeah.
That looked like gold. I was excited. I didn't have this, oh my God, money. Oh no, what's going to happen? I didn't have any of that.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, what can let's make some magic happen.
Yeah.
Let's bet on myself for the first time. Let's really bet on me. Right. So I saw social media was something. It may not be everything, but it was something, something to build credibility. So I did that. Oh, I got a few actual life coaching licenses, like that were quite a bit of money. But I was like, you know what? I don't want to go into this thing naked.
Right.
I don't want to go into this thing saying, well, hey, I'm Adam Jablin. I
Right.
used to run the biggest lace empire in the world. Let me, I wanted to have at least some sort of structure underneath me, some sort of backbone that I did when I was with somebody, I didn't feel just raw. So I invested in that, got some certifications, got some lessons, started building some social media. Before I knew it, the social media started getting me some things on the news. Now I'm on ESPN. I'm on Fox News.
So that's a big leap. You just took a big leap.
I know.
How do you go? And was that kind of just a stroke of luck and like things lining up for you? How do you go from like, I decided to make some business cards to, and then I got on ESPN. Like,
are you ready? I'm going to show you. Okay. Let me make a marriage.
Yeah.
One person saw my Instagram and loved some of my content and said, will you be on this? I got on Fox News twice.
Wow.
And then they said to me, we work closely with this PR firm. If you're getting anything out of this, because we can't just keep cold calling you. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? You need some sort of representation. Now, I didn't know any of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I used to make schmatas for Victoria's Secrets. You know what I mean? Like, I did not know I needed some form of representation. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, and if you could hear the voice in my head, it was going, why? You cold called me twice. Like,
right.
I feel like we have a lovely relationship, but I guess it just does not work like that.
Right.
There's structures and systems in place. So I remember my first PR firm, that was $3,000 a month, but I was like, okay, like I'm getting good feedback. Then I got some clients from that built, and before I knew it, this thing started gaining some momentum.
Yeah.
And finally, and this is the story that you and I spoke about, but finally I was introduced to this Tony world. And I like people knowing the truth, which is I thought it was a bunch of hoopla.
Right. Same.
You know what I mean? I saw a bunch of people wearing the same fucking hat. I mean, with a clover on it, jumping up like maniacs. I felt like, look at this is my head, right? Look at this fucking guy.
Yeah.
Built his own football fan stadium around him. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like look at just negative, cynical, judgmental. I'm not one of these people. This is not for me. And this giant of a man comes on stage. And before I know it, he's talking about when you stand like Superman, it raises your testosterone. He's talking about Michael Jordan, my favorite athlete. And he's taking you through these processes that are very similar to stuff that you and I do, like a fourth and fifth step. He calls it a Dickens process. And I'm going through this stuff and I'm like, this guy's real.
Yeah.
I couldn't, my bullshit meter, I couldn't find a way of not loving him. And it was time for me to grow. So I grew with that guy, and so what you were saying, the credit, I just kept putting into me, and what I was putting into me, I was giving out.
Yes.
And it's like you and I became like this, it's like a part of the funnel.
Yes. And I can remember the knowing in my soul when I went to my first Tony event. I didn't have nickels to rub together. It fell on my son's birthday. Like I couldn't really go to my husband and be like, I'm leaving on our son's birthday and I'm spending money on a plane ticket and spending money on this and spending money. He would have been like, excuse me? Like, no, everything was stacked against me. And I just knew that this was going to be the thing that not only was it an investment in my business, but it was an investment in me that was going to flow out, like you said. And it was the domino that just, I mean, I really attribute so much of my success and so much of my impact to thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people's lives because of me saying yes to something.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be him, right?
Right.
This happens to be, I think, like the most, let's say Bezos right now is Kobe, right? He
Right.
just happens to be the Michael Jordan of that. So it's a recognizable name. People know who we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's easy to follow our story, but still it was our belief in ourselves that if we do this can shift everything.
Right. And
So
you got to take that leap of faith. You got to take that risk. And this is where I always say, listen to the whisper. You got to get out of your freaking head. That's like, oh, I can't afford it. I don't have the money. It doesn't line up. Oh, it's on my son's birthday. Definitely can't go. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And you got to get out of your head and into your heart. And if there is that knowing in your soul, that pull to something, you have no idea what it's going to unlock for you. And you just got to go. You got to go.
Oh, we got to make a clip out of that.
Yeah.
Your team, whatever that was it. That's the juice. That's the juice. You have to get out of your head and you have to go. And by the way, that is still my uncertainty is still one of my hardest things that I deal with.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest with you, I would love to be right now in my studio with my Superman S behind me and you and I, like I'm in Utah. And I want, we decided to fly out very quickly when we got invited to this thing. And I want if you could hear my head before this, I'm here. So I'm playing the part. I'm all in, but I had every excuse not to come.
Yeah.
I just had an event. I'm tired. My kid's schedule. I can just find reasons.
We all can.
To be comfortable. And I constantly have to lean in.
Yeah. And there's a difference between desire and want and a soul calling. And I'm not saying like a soul calling that happens once in your life. I'm saying there is that tap, that whisper in your soul every single second of every single day. Yeah. And, same thing with me this weekend. I want to just stay home. I want to go to my daughter's volleyball game. And I'm that's comfortable. I'm like, so part of me thinks like, isn't that the whisper, my desire, my want? But no, I got invited to something where I have to be in LA on Sunday. And I'm like, I don't want to.
Right.
But I know I need to. And I need to try to there's always a balancing act. I was on Dave Meltzer's show not that long ago, and he was asking me about this. And somebody, when I was at an event recently, said, you must love red eyes. And I'm like, who? I don't know who loves red eyes. I do not love red eyes, but I take a ton of them because I have to balance what the universe, what God is where he is calling me to be, with also my desire to not miss much of anything with my children.
Come here, right? Come here. Hold on. I'm giving you a hug. Yes. I'm giving you a hug.
Oh, you're the sweetest.
That's right. Sacrifice. I hate him too.
Right. It's sacrifice. I got to sacrifice, and I will sleep on a plane versus traveling all day so I can be at the volleyball game, so I can be at the football game, but so I can also be where God's calling me to be and in the rooms where I need to be.
And let's say it too. When we say we'll sleep on the plane, what we mean is we will be an uncomfortable in and out zone where we're never getting true REM sleep.
100%.
You get to knock out and our bodies are tight, but we right. But we will do whatever it takes.
Yes.
Lack of sleep, the lack of comfort, the lack of whatever, right? So we could be with our children and be at these important moments, but also know that we can be here at the same time.
Yeah. Absolutely. And, I remember hearing that in the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, successful people are just willing to be uncomfortable longer. Yeah. And I was like, ooh, I love a challenge. And I'm like, game on. I will outlast you, Yes. It's not only that I will outwork you, because I always knew that about myself, but I will outlast you in uncomfortability. And that's a lot of it.
I got that. I think there is part of our spirit that is from our, if you want to call it our addiction.
100%.
But now it's channeled. It's whatever that part of our soul we're healing it the right way, right? Before we were looking for, I believe, because now I know you're my sister. We were looking for spiritual intoxication. We weren't like
Right.
looking just to get high. Jimmy, high's fun. Go ahead, have one edible. You know, we
Right.
weren't looking for like 3 Chardonnay. We were looking for spiritual intoxication. I
Right.
needed to be way above here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you and I found a place to channel that,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know, and
Yes.
and God bless us for that.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree with you more. I absolutely believe that addiction can be our greatest gift. You know, the
Mm,
thing in you and I that makes us crazy and almost kills us can also be our greatest gift to the world. I mean, we can channel that I don't even want to say a little bit of crazy, a lot of crazy and make it for good. Right? Yeah.
that's our superpower.
That is our superpower. Absolutely. Our kryptonite is our superpower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Oh,
insane?
so crazy. And I feel like it's that for everybody. Ours is alcohol and drugs, but everybody else has got something. You know, it's like I remember sitting in an auditorium one time listening to, I think it was Glennon Doyle Melton, and somebody said, "How do you find your purpose?" And I was like sitting on the edge of my seat because, you know, this was 10, 15 years ago. I was kind of at that season where I was changing businesses and I'm like, yeah, how do you find your purpose? And she said something I'll never forget. She said, "Where's your pain?
Yeah.
Where's your pain?
So good.
You know, where is your pain? Because behind the pain is the purpose, is the calling, is your superpower."
Yeah.
Right?
And
Yeah.
I think what you and I have been able to do from all the work we've done, you're 23, my 17, and now where we are in our lives and in this season is we've learned how to take that pain of ours and translate it to someone else's pain. Although it's not alcohol and drugs, we identify like that,
Yes.
you know,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
and we actually know the solution's quite the same.
Right.
You know, the
Mhm.
solution's quite the same. You know, at the end of the day, if it's keto, vegan, counting macros, bodybuilding, CrossFit, endurance, the bottom line is there's a certain calorie count, a
Yeah.
certain amount of activity, right? And a certain ideal that, right, that you will get you where you want to go. And I
Yeah.
think we found that in personal development.
Right. Right. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And I think both that's our mission, right? Because we know, and I want every single person to hear this before we wrap, because I know that you believe this. If you kind of commit to a journey and a path and to some processes, just like the 12 steps, right? The 12 steps for us got us from addiction, near death, to freedom and sobriety. There is a process. There is a journey that you can take, that you can go on, where you go through the work, and on the other side of that is joy and freedom for your life and confidence and, you know, the ability to chase your dreams and achieve them. All of that is possible for everybody. There's just not a personal development school on every corner, unfortunately. There needs to be, you
There
know?
needs to be. And I think, you know, I think we're watching it, you and I. I think
Yeah.
we're watching
Yeah.
this come into our children's lives and
Yeah.
um it's just a fascinating time. It's
It is.
fascinating.
Mhm. It is. Absolutely. And what a fascinating conversation.
Oh
I've
my
loved
God,
every
man, I could
second
do
of
this
this.
all day. I
I
could
could
do this all
too.
day.
I could too. This is the best. Well, Adam, tell me this. Where can people find you? Where can they find out about your coaching, all the things? Do you have anything coming up you want to talk about? Give them
So I you can find me at Adam Jablin on all platforms. Kind of made it simple for myself, right?
Yeah, I get it.
Uh, for myself. I will have a Neuro Hero Conference #2. The first one was a major success. I'm so proud to share that with you, Moira.
So awesome.
But I'll have that #2. It's going to be in January. I'm going to get some dates in the announcement. But until then, you know, here to help and as many people as you and I can.
Awesome. 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 Well, you guys, make sure you tag Adam in this episode, tag me, slide into our DMs. We would love to hear from you. We'd love to help in any way we can, but share this episode so that this message just gets out to more people. And everything below in the show notes will be there. So all the links to everything Adam will be there. And again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for your friendship and for your time today, Adam.
Same. And by the way, just so you know, I want to take the microphone so many times and ask questions back. I really try to be a good boy and just like answer, but I cannot wait to have you on my podcast and dig
Aw,
deep into your story. I can't wait.
I can't wait to do it too. Thanks so much.
Thanks.